Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Guru Chandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tat Bhaktaya Namo Namah Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Anandalilamaya Vigrahaya Mabadivicha Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasa Pradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Nityananda Namastuthyam Premananda Pradayane Kalopalmashanashaya Chandravataye Namaha Ajalanandita Pujo Kanatapadata Sankirtanaya Katitaro Kamalaya Vishambaro Vijvaro Jagadharmapalo Vande Jagatvyakaro Karunavatam Kanakachala Jagatro Nilashonam Janetro Mrigamadavaravalo Malati Pundamalo Taravataru Navesho Nilapitam Varesho Smaranibrita Nikunje Radhika Krishna Chandra Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvayavina Iti Vigyayaradi Tvam Naimam Charanantike Yam Pravrijantamanoteta Mateta Krityam Dvaipayana Viraha Kataraya Chihava Putreti Tamayatayo Taravo Binedus Tam Sarvabhuta Hridayam Manimanatosmi Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Shaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasa Tato Jayamudirayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. First of all, my limited Dandavat pranams to Lotus feet of Srila Gurudev, Nitya Krishna Vishnupada Astutra Satya Shishama Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, Shiksha Gurudev Om Vishnupada Astutra Satya Shishama Bhaktivedanta Goswami Goswami Maharaj, all Rupana Bhagavadiya Gurvarga, all the devotees and guests in Radha Govinda Gaudiya Math, Guyana, also those who are watching us online or in recording. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. So, Hare Krishna, Dandavat. So, we were hearing Srimad Bhagavatam in Trinidad. We are returning to Srimad Bhagavatam Katha. We will be concentrating here in Guyana on those narrations we haven't touched in Trinidad. So, Nigamakalpataror Galitam Palam Shukamukadamritatrava Samyutam Pibat, can you close the door? Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Muhura Rasika Bhuviga Bhavaka. All thoughtful men whose hearts are permeated with rasa, please relish this nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. The nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam is compared to the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge, the cream of Vedic knowledge, which is like a fruit having no skin and no bone inside, no seed inside, only consisting of pure, juicy pulp. So that is the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge. So many people like nectar, but mostly they like material nectar. That's why they're hearing material sounds which agitate their senses, agitate their minds. But those devotees who are one-pointedly engaged in service to Krishna, or they like Krishna Katha, they always like Hari Katha. Hear nothing but sweet pastimes of Krishna. So that's why we're trying to walk in the footsteps. That's why we hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So you remember how the sages of Nisharanya were hearing from Sri Sutta Goswami, the son of Sri Paramaharshana Sutta, Ugrashrava Sutta, otherwise known as Sutta Goswami. So they asked 6 questions. And Sri Sutta Goswami remembered what he had heard from Sri Shukadeva Goswami. So when Sri Shukadeva Goswami was speaking, there were 88,000 sages, but only 2 hearers were perfect. So one of them is Maharaj Parikshit. So Maharaj Parikshit is the hearer, Sri Shukadeva Goswami is the teller of Harikatha. And the second one was Sri Sutta Goswami. So Sutta Goswami heard very, very nicely whatever Shukadev spoke. So 6 questions were asked. The first one, what is the highest good for all humanity? Then, what is the essence of all the scriptures? So many scriptures. What is the essence? What are the pastimes of the Supreme Lord? Number 3. Specifically, what are the pastimes regarding the creation? And number 5, what are the pastimes of those multifarious avatars who are coming one after another to the surface of the globe? And where has Dharma found shelter? At the beginning of Kali Yuga, because Kali Yuga was starting. So these answers to these questions is practically Srimad Bhagavatam. So Shukadeva Goswami said, oh, Srimad Bhagavatam is the shelter for all Bhagavad Dharma during Kali Yuga. This Purana is shining like the sun. And wherever there is sun, there is no darkness, cannot be darkness. That's why Srimad Bhagavatam, all thoughtful people, hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah, Jagabhagavata Stani, Jagabhagavata Padas Vaishnavera Stani, Kanta Shraya Karo Chaitanya Charane. You have to find shelter at the lotus feet of Vaishnavas who are speaking Srimad Bhagavatam. You have to hear Granta Bhagavata from Bhakta Bhagavata. Hear the scripture Bhagavatam from the devotee Bhagavatam. Thus, the process will be perfect. Thus, bhakti will be in the heart. Bhakti will come into the heart. So, this is the way we do. We're hearing sweet pastimes of Krishna, and we're hearing gradually of different avatars. In the first 9 cantos, we hear so many discussions of the pastimes of many avatars. We will hear them these days. And finally, in the 10th canto, Krishna Lila, sweet pastimes of Krishna. So, after Shukadeva Goswami told the pastimes of Rasa Lila, the highest pastime of Krishna, he said, Vikriditam Brajavadu Birdam Cha Vishnu Shraddhan Vitana Shridnayata Tavarnayada Bhaktim Param Bhagavati Pratilabhya Kamam Hridrogam Ashvapahino Tachire Nadiya. So, those people who are devoted to one-pointing hearing of the sweet pastimes of Krishna, especially those with the gopis, Vishnu, means Krishna who is dancing so fast. His dance with the gopis reminds the line which makes the incense stick, which is offered very, very quickly like this. So it's a circle which is non-breakable. So in that non-breakable circle, Krishna was dancing with the gopis. So each gopi was thinking Krishna is dancing only with me, but he was in one Swarupa. He was dancing so quick. So those who are hearing those pastimes, immediately they achieve perfection in the form of bhakti. Bhakti comes into heart. Bhaktim param bhagavati pratilabhya, that devotee obtains Shuddha Bhakti, pure devotional service at once. And then what? Then Hridroga, the disease of the heart, which is lust, comes out, immediately disappears. But first Bhakti comes. So what shall we do? To hear or not to hear? That was a great debate at the end of the 90s when Srila Gurudev was preaching. Srila Gurudev was telling 10th Canto, and so actively, in the form it was quite unheard before. Everybody was hearing, and many devotees, even devotees of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, were surprised. So Srila Narayana Maharaj is speaking those subjects. Why? And Srila Gurudev was bravely quoting this verse, Vikriditam Vrajavandudiradam Chirishna. Then bhakti will come in the heart, so you have to hear, have to hear, have to hear. You have lust, you have greed, you have envy, no harm. Of course. Still, nectar of bhakti will come into your heart, and then Hridroga, the disease of heart, lust, material lust, will leave you, definitely. So, that is the essence of hearing, so we have to hear. But not only hear, Anushrinayat and Varnayat. Anushrinayat means hearing continuously, Anu means hearing continuously, and then discussing between ourselves. So that's what we're doing. Gurudev said, hear Harikatha and discuss. That's why we're hearing and discussing. So we were discussing in Trinidad the answers of Sri Shukadeva Goswami to the Sutta Goswami to the 6 questions. And then we were hearing a lot of about Bhagavad Dharma, Savaipam Samparo Dharma Yato Bhakti Radokshite. Savaipam Samparo Dharma Yato Bhakti Radokshite Haituka Pratihata Yayatma Suprasidati. So, what is the greatest good for all humanity? That activity which brings one to the process of pure unmotivated devotional service. That activity is the best. And that type of cultivation, that type of activity must be ahaituki and apratihata. Means without any cause, any material cause, causeless and unbreakable. Ahaituki and apratihata. Causeless, unbreakable. Like flow of honey from the jar, that same verse we were hearing, Anyabilasita Shunyam Gyana Karma Dhyana Vitamana Kulyana Krishna Shivanam Bhakti Ruttanam. So that process of hearing, chanting and remembering the glories of Krishna is a perfect process. If we engage in that constantly, then all our problems are solved. But we're not really coming here in the line of bhakti to solve our problems. We don't. We come just to obtain pure devotional service, nothing we're interested in. Although Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the 4 types of persons come to me. The first type, those who are in trouble. And certainly, probably that's most of people. Those who are in trouble, those who are in need of some material possessions, those who are inquisitive, and those who want knowledge. So the last one is the best. But those who are in trouble, they come. But we don't come to solve our problems. We come just to gain pure devotional service. We may be in trouble, no harm, but most importantly, we're interested in pure bhakti. That's why Srila Narottam Thakur sings that song, Radha Krishna Pranamor Yugala Kishore Jivane Marane Gati Arne Mor. Radha and Krishna are my life and soul, the lotus feet are my life and soul. I may be in happiness, I may be in distress, I may be in a material prosperity or maybe in poverty. It doesn't really matter. Radha Krishna Pranamo Yugala Kishore, lotus feet of Radha and Krishna are my life and soul always. So that is why we're always devoted to hearing, chanting and remembering. That's why we're hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So today we will discuss about how Srimad Bhagavatam was recorded by Srila Vyasadeva and how Srila Vyasadeva received transcendental instructions from Sri Narada-Muni. So, Sri Vyasadeva had a great son, and his name was Shukadeva Goswami. So, when his wife became pregnant, Shukadeva stayed in the womb of his mother for 16 years. He was not willing to come out. And when he came out, he was already a youth of 16. He was completely naked. He was not interested in anything in this material world. So he went off, and Vyasadeva only said, "Oh my son, yam pravrijam damanapetam apeta krityam dvaipayam avirachahata arjuhava putretitam mayatayo purtaravo vinedustam sarvabhuta hridayam munina natosmi." Yeah, so he went off, and only the trees answered with the shadow, with the echo, "Oh my son, oh my son, oh my son." He went. He was not interested in anything material. He was not interested even in performance of purificatory ceremonies like second thread, etc. He went off. He went to the forest. And he was coming through fields, through forests, through different locations, lakes and rivers. And in one lake, I think, he saw young ladies who were naked, and they were taking baths in that lake, but he didn't really pay any attention. And they even didn't cover their bodies because they could see. He was totally absorbed in Brahman. He was not interested in any form of this world, male, female. So he was not even discriminating who is who. So he was so much absorbed in Brahman. So then when Vyasadeva was looking for his son, he was walking in his footsteps, and he came to the same place, but the ladies in the same lake covered their bodies. Although Vyasadeva was already grey-haired, very elderly, like this. So they immediately covered their bodies, and when he asked why, then they said, "Oh, you can discriminate between male and female," and Shukadeva could not. So Shukadeva Goswami was walking until he came to Maharaj Parikshit. So then Maharaj Parikshit, you remember, he was cursed by the son of Brahmana. Oh, after 7 days you'll be bitten by a snake, Takshaka. So he found the best engagement for one whose death is imminent to hear Srimad Bhagavatam with full attention. So he was sitting, he immediately gave up his kingdom, and he sat on the bank of a river, and so many sages were there, and finally Shukadeva Goswami came. So that is great example for us, because we don't know when death will come. Do we know? We really don't know. It may be after 100 years, maybe after 10 days, or maybe tomorrow. We don't really know. But we have to really dedicate our life for hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. That is the best engagement for a person in this world. We know for sure death is imminent. Once a devotee, disciple of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, approached Srila Gurudev, and he was sick, he had a cancer. Gurudev gave him an instruction. He said, "Don't fear death. Death is sure. Don't pray to Krishna. Oh Krishna, save me from death, save me from the danger, give me good health." Never pray for that. We never pray. No. As yesterday we heard Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in his last instructions, he said, we are not attached to any pious activities, as well as we are not detached from any impious activities. Na dharmam, shruti-ganer-muktam kilakuru. Vraje Radha Krishna prachura paricharya mehatano. And Mana Shiksha Srila Raghunath Das Goswami Pad is saying, oh my mind, don't think of performing any pious activities. Don't think about escaping any impious activities. Don't think. So ordinary dharma in this world is saying you have to perform dharma and avoid adharma. But Mana Shiksha, the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, based upon the cream of Srimad Bhagavatam, is saying don't be concerned about dharma, mundane dharma. Vraje Radha Krishna Prachura Paricharya Mahatanu. You have to be serving the lotus feet of Shri Radha and Krishna in Vraj. That's it. That's the only process. And how to serve? By hearing, serving Srimad Bhagavatam. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Always hear and chant and remember and repeat. Anushrinayat Varnayat. Hear and repeat Srimad Bhagavatam again and again and again. So, thus Maharaj Parikshit met Shri Shukadeva Goswami. And Shukadeva Goswami, you know, very special personality. Very special personality. He is called in Srimad Bhagavatam Shri Shuka Uvacha. What is Shri? Who is Shri? Shri is Srimati Radhika. And Shukadeva Goswami initially is a transcendental parrot, Shuka, of Srimati Radhika. So that's what his origin is, actually. When Srila Gurudev was preaching in the West, devotees were asking, Gurudev, can you please tell us? Shukadeva Goswami was first impersonalist, like Brahmavadi. You know, there are two types of personalists, Brahmavadi and Mayavadi. Mayavadi are those who are having conception that this world is false and we have to melt with the existence of Supreme Lord, and we are actually the Supreme Lord, therefore. So this is Mayavadi. Shukadeva Goswami was not like that. He was Brahmavadi. So Brahmavadi means a person absorbed in Brahman, but he is not an offender. He doesn't say that the form of the Lord is false. Shukadeva Goswami was never thinking like that. Never. That was his just, you know, like Naravat Lila, which is like human. So he was walking around like this, not attached to anything because he was Brahmavadi. But when Gurudev was asked, why Brahmavadi if he's Shri Ashuk, if he's a parrot of Srimati Radhika, why was he Brahmavadi then? So Gurudev was saying, actually, that is just to show the human beings of this world, the devotees hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, like path of sadhana, you know, how one can be attached to Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's why Shukadeva Goswami repeatedly heard Srimad Bhagavatam from Vyasadeva, his father, although he was not attached to anything. So by that hearing, his mood became totally changed, and he was totally absorbed in pastimes of Krishna. But initially, the story of Shri Shuka, how was it? Srimati Radhika was having a parrot. His name was Shuk. And she was feeding him pomegranate seeds and some rice, some milk, sweet rice, like this. And she was telling him, Krishna kaho, say Krishna, say Krishna. And Shuka was saying, Krishna, Krishna. So Srimati Radhika was very, very happy. But once the Shuka flew away, he flew to Nandagan, and he flew to the garden where Krishna was playing. And he was sitting there and saying, Krishna, Krishna, Srimati Radhika's voice. You know, parrots, they can copy human voices very expertly. You know that. Very, very expertly. So then, Srimati Radhika heard that, and that's Shuka, you know, speaking. Krishna's voice is more dearmost. So come here. He called. Okay, so he came and sat in Krishna's hand like this. So Krishna also started feeding him pomegranate seeds. So say again, say again. What did you say? Say again, say again. And then Lalita and Vishaka came, and they noticed Krishna playing with the parrot, and they said, "Oh, again you captured someone else's property. You're a thief. This is property of our Swamini, Shri Ashok. Our Swamini is Radhika's parrot, and you're playing with him." And Krishna said, "Oh, I will give you, let's see if he's really your Swamini's possession. If he's your Swamini's possession, he will fly to you. If he's not, he will stay with me." So Shuk, stayed with Krishna because he liked very much to speak Radhe Radhe to Krishna, Krishna Krishna in Radhika's voice. So then Lalita Vishaka saying, "Aha, again you're stealing, again you usurped someone else's quality, possession. It's not at all your possession. So we'll complain to Yashoda. Yashoda, oh Yashoda, see what's going on. Krishna stole the parrot of Radhika." Then Yashoda came and, "You naughty boy, again you are playing with some creatures. Again, give me the parrot, give me the parrot." Yashoda, power of the Vatsalya Baba, took the parrot from Krishna and gave the parrot to Radhika and Lalita. So anyway, and then he flew back to Radhika, but before Radhika and Krishna were leaving this world, they told, both Radhika and Krishna, they told Transcendental Parrot Shuk, "You have to stay in this world. You have to stay in this world and preach our glories." And glories of Radha and Krishna are what? Srimad Bhagavatam, obviously. So Shuka stayed in this world, and he was in great separation when Radha and Krishna left. So he was wondering, oh, where is Srimad Bhagavatam? Where is Srimad Bhagavatam spoken? So he was looking for those places. Where is Srimad Bhagavatam spoken? So he was eager to fly to those places. So where was it spoken? Oh yes, it was spoken by Lord Shiva, certainly. Lord Shiva was speaking Srimad Bhagavatam in Kailas to Parvati. So Shuka flew there because he's free to fly anywhere he likes. So he flew from Golok to, from this world, from this earth, he flew to abode of Lord Shiva, Kailas. And he sat in the tree, right under that tree. Vyasadeva was sitting, and his wife, Parvati Devi, was hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. But since the first canto, second canto, third are very philosophical, so Parvati, as ladies, not too much inclined towards philosophy usually, for some rare exception. But anyway, she started drowsing. And finally, when 10th canto started, then she woke up. Oh, wonderful pastimes of Krishna. Okay, so she opened her eyes, and she was hearing, and oh, my dear husband, I overslept the first the first 2-3 cantos. So can you please repeat the conclusions? Lord Shiva was very surprised. You were sleeping? How? But who was saying? Yes, yes. What is next? What's next? Who was saying? In your own voice, who was saying? And finally Lord Shiva saw the parrot. He saw Shuk hidden in the branches of the tree. Oh, you were overhearing. You rascal, I have to punish you. I have to kill you. So Lord Shiva took his trident, and parrot flew away. Shuk flew away, and Lord Shiva was following him all across the universes. And Shuk was flying where to find shelter, where to find shelter, where to find shelter. Finally, he came across Vyasadeva, the compiler of the Vedas, Vyasadeva. And his wife was hearing, open mouth. So Shuka flew in there. Shuka flew in there and was in the stomach already, was inside her womb. So he got into the womb of Vyasadeva's wife. So that's why he was in the womb. She was pregnant in that way. So when Lord Shiva arrived at that place, oh, Lord Shiva, why are you so agitated? Who are you looking for? Oh, I'm looking to one parrot. Have you seen? Okay, but what do you want to do with him? I want to kill him. Why? Because he's a criminal. He overheard Srimad Bhagavatam. But, well, do you know what is the destination of those who heard Srimad Bhagavatam? Yes, they will become immortal. Oh, so why are you worried? You cannot kill him anymore. He's immortal now. You cannot kill him. So, that's the prehistory. So that's why Shukadeva Goswami was so much qualified. Srila Gurudev is saying that he never pronounced any name of any gopi actually, but especially Radhika. He could not pronounce Radhe, because if he pronounced, then he would fall unconscious. He would not be able to speak. But he still spoke. That's why, speaking about Radhika, he was giving some hints. Anayuradita no nambagam hari vishwaraha. And then another verse, with two verses. Anayuradita no nam. The gopis of the opposite camp were saying about Radhika, oh, that gopi is most qualified because she had performed the topmost aradhana, topmost worship of Krishna. So that's why Krishna took her separately. So that's why Shukadeva Goswami was so qualified. Great novel of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, but Vyasadeva, when Kali Yuga started, Vyasadeva noticed that. He was sitting on the bank of the river, and he noticed, oh, the inauspicious time has come. Kali Yuga has come. People have lost their memory. He was so much qualified. Immediately after hearing something. So if nowadays only some great devotees are Shrutidaras, they can remember everything from the first time of hearing, like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktivedanta Vamana Goswami Maharaj, now Pujapat Bhaktivedanta Madhusudan Maharaj, like this, hearing and immediately remembering. So books are needed. Books are needed because people are very forgetful. Manda, Sumanda, Matayo, Manda, Bhagya, Padrataha, people of Kali Yuga. Very much Manda, lazy, misguided, devoid of good fortune, and moreover, always disturbed. So that's the position of the people of Kali Yuga. That's why books are needed. That's why we have so many books. Our poor memory. Shri Prabhupada Saraswati Pat has said in one verse, Kala Kalir Balena Indriya Vairivarga Shri Bhakti Marveha Kantaka Koti Ruddha Aha Koyami Vikala Kimaham Karomi Chaitanya Chandra Jinadya Kripam Karoshi. In this age of Kali, the senses Indriya are very, very powerful. Indriya Vairivarga. Shri Bhakti Marveha Kantaka Koti Ruddha, the pure path of Bhakti, has so many thorns on its way, so difficult. You try to chant, some problems, some sounds, some this, some that, so much agitation around us. You try to chant, immediately some sense attacks you, the sense of touch, the sense of smell, the sense of form, the sense of any other sense. Sense objects, very strong, and sense is also very strong. There are senses going after sense object. But Haha Kayame Vikala Kimaham Karomi, or what to do, where to go, where to take shelter. Or Sri Chaitanya Chandra, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is our master, so he will give us shelter. So that is why Vyasadeva noticed, the books have to be recorded. So he recorded all the Vedas and divided them into 4 parts. The initial Vedas, Samaveda, Rig Veda, Samaveda, Atharva Veda, Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajur Veda, Atharva Veda. Then he compiled the Upanishads, the commentaries, Vedanta, Vedangas, then Itihasas, histories, Mahabharata, Ramayana, and what Puranas. All Puranas except for Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam he hadn't written. So that's why Although he was referred to low knowledge, he was not satisfied. He was saying, I compiled all the Vedic literature, but he was suspicious. Maybe I haven't discussed Krishna Katha very, very nicely. Pastimes of Krishna. Maybe I haven't discussed pastimes of Krishna very vividly. That's why I'm not so much satisfied. So I think now we can sing one kirtan, 5 minutes, right? And then another half an hour, we'll discuss the dialogue between Sri Vyasadeva and Narada Muni, who has to arrive. So please sing one kirtan for 5 minutes. You, who else? Who else? Five minutes break for kirtan. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Nitai Gaura Haribo Gaur Premanande Hari Haribo Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapurana Ki Jai 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 Shri Radhe. So Narada came to Vyasadeva, and Vyasadeva gave him a cordial reception. Narada asked Vyasa, "Oh, Vyasadeva, are you satisfied by identifying with the body or the mind as objects of self-realization?" Very rhetorical question. Are you satisfied? Because whatever you've recorded is all dealing with the objects of body, of mind and senses. So are you really satisfied with that? Are you really happy identifying yourself with that? And then Vyasadeva started thinking, really, I've recorded so many Purans. In one sort of Purans, it said that, oh, Shiva is the Supreme Personality, Shiva Purana, for example. And other sorts of scriptures are saying that Vishnu is center of all incarnations, Narayan, and Krishna is the incarnation of Narayan, playful incarnation of Narayan. And the other Vedas, they advocate to worship Indra and so many demigods like this. So many people are misled by the flowery words of the Vedas. That's what Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita. Immediately in the second chapter it says, Yam imam pushpitam vacham pravadantya vipashchitaha veda vadarata partha nanyat astiti vadana. So those people who are misled by the flowery words of the Vedas, they pursue the celestial pleasures. They want to go to heaven to enjoy there, but actually that brings only poisonous effects. Those people are avyavasayana, means they are not resolute in purpose, because the mind goes here and there and here and there and here and there. So many Indian families we see in their homes, they're having altars with variety of gods and goddesses, demigods and demigoddesses. Shiva, Ganesh, Durga, this, that, and mind is always coming from object to object, object to object. If you want that thing, you have to worship that demigod. If you want that thing, worship that demigod. What is your Lord? Whatever your Lord is, that is your path. But what is the path? What is dharma? That's a big, big question. Because those people are not vyavasayatmika, not resolute in purpose. Krishna is saying one verse before, in Gita he's saying, vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha puranandana bahushaka hyanantascha buddhayo vyavasayanam. Those people's intelligence is bahushaka, means many branched. So they are not resolute in purpose, only worshipping Krishna. That's why we devotees of Krishna are very resolute, trying to be resolute, trying to worship Krishna solely. So Narada is continuing to approach Vyasadeva. He's saying, your inquiries are full and your studies are also well fulfilled. You have studied masters of Vedic literature. And now you have performed great, great, wonderful work. You've written the Mahabharata with so many instructions. You know, in our age, Kali Yuga, people are not so much into hearing like Vedic philosophy. So that's why in the form of stories, Vyasadeva recorded all of that. Fight between Pandavas and Kauravas, and so many intricacies, so many diplomacies, and finally Kurukshetra battles. But the very beginning of Kurukshetra battles, what? The words of Krishna, the Bhagavad Gita, the essence of Vedic knowledge given. So you set up so many goals for people to achieve, the karmic goals, then the jnanic, that is Brahman, impersonal Brahman, and finally bhakti, but that bhakti was not pure in many, many cases. It was mixed. So in the same Bhagavad Gita, so many yogas are described, but the three yogas are most important. What are they? Karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga. But that is good, because it's in the line of bhakti. Whatever Krishna is saying in Gita, it's all in the line of bhakti. As a yoga ladder. So karma, not karma, but karma yoga already. Like generally people are into karma and they worship demigods to achieve their karmic goals. It's reward-seeking activity. But those who want to serve the Supreme and dedicate themselves to the Supreme, they at once hear Harikatha, and since their qualification, adhikar, doesn't allow them to engage in pure bhakti immediately, they perform karma yoga. And this karma yoga is already, maybe sakam means with some desires in the beginning, but motivated towards nishkam, means desire less. And then finally they take up Shuddha Bhakti Yoga, pure devotional service, in due course. So that's very good. But the scripture, which would be completely consisting of only principles of pure bhakti, had not been written. That's what Vyasadeva heard from Narada. So Narada is continuing. Yes, so you have fully delineated the subject of impersonal Brahman as well as knowledge derived therefrom. Why should you be despondent in spite of all this, thinking that you are undone, my dear Prabhu? Vyasadeva answered, all you have said about me is perfectly correct. Despite this, I am not pacified. I therefore question you about the root cause of my dissatisfaction. Please tell me, why am I unhappy? So then, quoting Srila Gurudev, how Srila Gurudev was speaking about this conversation, in his own words, he was saying, and Narada asked Vyasa, have you described how Krishna was born from the womb of Yashoda? No. Have you described how Krishna was stealing butter from the houses of the Vraja Gopis? No. Have you described how Krishna finally played his flute and he attracted so many Vraja Gopis? No. Have you described how Krishna lifted Govardhan? Have you described how Krishna chastised Kaliya and killed so many demons? No. So what have you described? That's how Gurudev was saying. That was the gist of what Narada was asking about. Actually, what have you described? Actually, nothing. Something. Something is better than nothing. But that's not the complete whole. Not the complete whole. What is complete whole? Om Purnamada Purnamidam Etecham Shakala Pumsa Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam Indradi Vyakalam Lokam Hridayam Te Yuge Yuge. But once, in the very first pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, is said that Krishna is the source of all incarnations, not vice versa. Not Shiva is the Supreme Personality, not Narayana even. Krishna is the source of Narayana and so many other incarnations. Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam. Okay, period. That is confirmed. So, Vyasadeva hadn't written that. So, then Vyasadeva recognized what Narada said was completely true. And Narada said, you have not actually broadcast the sublime and spotless glories of personality of Godhead, although you broadly describe the four principles, four goals of human life, Kama, Artha, Dharma, Moksha. Kama means desires for sense enjoyment. Artha, economic development to substantiate fulfillment of those desires. Dharma means religiosity, which includes also worshipping of demigods. Moksha, liberation, how to say, melting within the Brahman, supreme, impersonal feature of the Lord. So, but you haven't described the glories of Bhagavan really in full form. Although even you have written Vedanta Sutra, 550 aphorisms, you haven't, you wrote but in quotes. Janma, Dyasya, Daha. What's that? Yes. Janma, Dyasya, Daha, etc. Rasovai, Saha. So Rasovai, Saha. But what does it mean? How is Krishna full of rasa? How? You haven't described. So then Narada started answering. And he said a few classical verses, really wonderful classical verses. Naya dvachas chitrapadam harer yasho jagat pavitram pragrinita karhichi Tadvaya samkirtam ushanti manasa nayatra hamsa niramanti shikshaya. So many types of literature around us, including Vedic, so many. But if they don't describe the glories of the world can sanctify the atmosphere completely. Whenever Harikatha is spoken, that place is holy place, sanctified. Whenever the holy name is heard, that is the holy place. Okay, we were asking Srila Gurudev, oh Gurudev, you're sending us for Harinam Sankirtan, but what name will we sing? It's not pure name, Gurudev was saying. That is my instruction. It is my instruction. Means consider yourself my expansions. Right. So in that way it's perfect. That's what we're trying to do, our level best. So those words, which are not describing the glories of Bhagavan, of Supreme Lord, are considered to be the place of a pilgrimage for crows. Where do crows gather? In impure places, where the rubbish, all the rotten things. Crows, very, very enthusiastic to eat all that. Also crows, like dead bodies very much. Very much. Even in Vrindavan you can see, at Yamuna, some dead body, immediately crows are there. Even in holy place. That's the nature, what you can do. So they are like this. What of it? They're performing their dharma. But swans are different. Swans are different. We'll hear about those in the next verse. Contrary to those, the words of transcendental literature, Tatvak Visargo Janadagra Viplavo Yasmin Pratishlokam Avardavatyabhi Namanyamantasya Shonkitaniya Srinvanti Gayanti Grinanti Sadhu. On the other hand, the literature which is full of descriptions of glories of the Nama Rupa Guna Lila, names, forms, qualities, pastime of the Supreme Lord, which is glorified even though imperfectly composed, maybe by great, great sages, accepted by purified hearts of the sages. Srinvanti, Gayanti, Grananti. They're hearing, they're singing, and they're accepting fully in their hearts. Those transcendental literatures, which are maybe not perfect according to the form. For example, some pure devotee is not familiar with Sanskrit grammar. It may happen, a pure devotee, but not familiar with Sanskrit grammar. And he is approaching Vishnu. According to grammar, you should approach Vishnu, Vishnave. But he heard Krishnaya, Govindaya, like this. That's why he's saying Vishnaya also. Grammatically incorrect, but no harm. The Lord will accept. Because the Lord is Bhava Grahi Janardana. He accepts the mood of the devotee. So like this. So even if imperfectly composed, those literatures are relished by great, great devotees. Relished, sung, and accepted. So, Naishkarmamyapyachyuta bhavavarjitam nashobhati gyanamalam niranjanam kudapunasha shvadabhadram ishvare nacharpitam karma yanapyakaranam. So, self-realization. People are into self-realization of impersonal Brahman, many of them. And they become naishkarmya. They become free from any material desires, any material goals. But it's not well. It's not well, nashobhate. Nashobhate means it's not well because it's devoid of the conception of the Uttama Shloka, infallible Lord. Infallible Lord. So that is about jnana. But what about karma, those activities? Not to speak about those karmic activities. If they're not dedicated to the Lord, they're not nice. Means they don't bring great benefits. So like this, Narada Muni was speaking. So he said, oh, listen, O Vyas, your vision is completely perfect. You're good, famous, spotless. So you've done already so much, but why don't you write Srimad Bhagavatam? You have to describe the pastimes of the Lord in full. You have to go deeply into trance with Bhakti Yoga, and you have to realize Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam has to be realized from within the heart. That is the method of attainment transcendental knowledge. You cannot learn it like a scholar, you cannot learn it in college, you cannot hear it from materialists, you cannot hear it from impersonalists, you cannot hear it from anyone but the pure Vaishnava. Yaga Bhagavata Pade Vaishnava Rastani Ekanta Ashraya Kare Chaitanya Charana. Only through Ekantika Ashraya, the full surrender to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Charana, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the form of a saint, the representative, pure devotee, you have to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So, otherwise, if you describe all other things concerning karma and jnana, those things just agitate senses. Just agitate senses. That's what, So then disappointment comes, like in this world. People go somewhere for sense agitation, and then disappointment. Even if you enter Brahman, you became kind of happy, but if it's without Krishna, it's Shobhate. We just heard from Narada, na Shobhate, not nice, not nice. It's no real happiness, no substance. For a devotee, it's like hell, hellish. The Supreme Lord is unlimited, Narada is saying. Only a very expert personality retired from the activities of material happiness deserves to understand this knowledge of spiritual values. So, those who are not well situated due to material attachment should be shown the ways of transcendental realization. So, another instruction for devotees, Practicing devotees may experience fall down. Yeah, this is so. But they never lose anything, as this verse confirms by Narada. Tyaktva sadharmam charanam bhujam harer vajan apakvo tappatit tato yadi yatrakva vabhadram abhut anushyakim ko varta apto bhajatam sadharmata. A devotee who has forsaken material occupations to engage in devotional service may accidentally experience fall down. But he will never be unsuccessful in life. There will be no harm at any point. Because he has already vowed to be Vyavasayatmika. Remember that shloka in Bhagavad Gita, Vyavasayatmika Buddhir. I choose only bhakti, Gurudeva explains. I choose only bhakti. I will never choose karma or jnana. Even those devotees who are very weak, they go into karma, they go into jnana, and then they not satisfied. Not satisfied because the Lord had already accepted them. The spiritual master had already accepted them. And in case they haven't committed any aparat, just because of the weakness of heart, hridaya durbalyam, they may have deviated from the path for some time. Oh, they've already eternally in the book of records of the Supreme Lord. Their names are already recorded. This is my dear devotee. Now he's doing some nonsense, but he's my dear devotee. It's written. So that's why, Apichat Sudaracharo, that verse of Bhagavad Gita. Even when devotee performs some nonsense activities, Durachar, engages in some nonsense activities. Bhajate mam ananyabhak. But he's worshipping me with one-pointed attention. What does it mean? It means he's not worshipping demigods. Like we come here, we hear from Guru, we chant Harinam, we do all the activities. We don't worship Durga, Ganesh, we don't worship. Don't worship. We give our attention to Radha and Krishna. Radha Krishna Pranama, Yoga Vakeshwar, Radha Govinda, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's it. One point. This is called Bhajate Mam Ananyabhak, Krishna is saying, Ananyabhak. But you can say, but if devotee is worshipping like this, and if he's madhyam, he will never fall down already. Like very, very rare occasions. One in the intermediate platform. Yes, that's true. So this is about Kanishta, basically. Because Indriya Vairya Varga, the senses are very powerful. Sense objects are very powerful. Sense is also very powerful. Kali Yuga, everything upside down, so it's easy to fall down. Krishna is saying here in Bhagavad Gita, Sadhu eva semantavya samyak vyavasito isaha. He's already sadhu because he's actually vyavasita. He's full of one-pointedness. He's one-pointed in that regard, just because of some mistake that's temporary. So the same principle is given here by Narada. This process, we also follow this process. Never lose, never lose. Tasyaiva hetu prayateta kovido nalabhyate yad brahmatam uparyata nalabhyate dukavat anyata sukham kalena sarvatra gobira brahmasa. Persons who are actually intelligent and philosophically inclined should endeavor only for that purposeful end which is not obtainable even by wandering from topmost planet Brahmaloka down to the lowest planet Patala. As far as happiness derived from sense enjoyment is concerned, it can be obtained automatically in course of time, just in its course of time we obtain miseries even though we don't desire them. So we have to always have this goal, Krishna Bhakti. And people in this world, materialists, they go around like mad trying to find happiness. Oh, if I build that house, I'll be happy. If I make that business, I'll be happy. If I sell this thing and buy this thing, I'll be happy. How long will that happiness last? Do you know? How long? Temporary. That's it. But can we find any person who is looking for unhappiness? Oh, probably only Krishna's devotee, like Queen Kunti. Oh, Krishna, please give us miseries. Please give us troubles. Because in troubles, we'll be remembering you very eagerly. People are saying that person is mad. But no, that's a great devotee, Kunti Devi. She's praying. But a normal person will never pray for miseries. Crazy? No, only for happiness. But there's no need to pray for happiness. Happiness will come automatically by karma. No need of any endeavors. You've done already those endeavors in your past lives. Don't worry. So happiness will come. So don't worry about unhappiness also, because it will also come. No need to put any endeavors for unhappiness. So like this. So in that way, Narada is instructing Vyasadeva. He's saying further on, here we go. Oh, my dear Vyas, a devotee of Krishna sometimes falls down, but certainly does not undergo material existence like others, fruitive workers. Because a person who has at once relished the taste of the lotus feet of the Lord can do nothing but remember that ecstasy again and again. That's what we're talking about. But Narada Muni, with his own mouth, is saying this again and again. Tasted ecstasy, hasn't committed offense. Okay, that ecstasy will be always with you. But you have to be intelligent enough, you make this path faster. And don't make the Supreme Lord, come again and again in the form of Guru to save you again and again. You have to be honest, not to give Guru so much trouble, to come for you again and again. Because Guru gives vow, I will deliver this soul. We were asking our Gurus, Gurudev, we were asking, Didi, we were asking, like, Chakudan Dilajay Janma Janma Prabhu was singing in this song called Guru Charana Padma. You're my master life after life. So will the same person come life after life or not? Because Krishna will send one Guru in one lifetime, another Guru in another lifetime. So Gurudev was answering, depends on the level of the devotee. If devotee has Nishta, firm faith, means Guru Nishta automatically. So Guru Nishta means that very person, only that person. Only our Gurudev, that's it. How's that? One Santa, one Grantha, one Panta, and one Mantra. One Santa means one holy person. One Grantha, one book, Srimad Bhagavatam. One Panta, one path, pure bhakti. And one Mantra, So, oh, Hare Krishna, mantra, that's it. No need to go here and there. So, that's why Gurudev was saying, oh, I think nowadays this Harikatha is not spoken anywhere. I'm speaking this Harikatha. So no need to go anywhere. So many people go here, there. Gurudev was saying like, be with me, no need to go. So again and again, Narada is inducing Vyasa, oh, take your time and meditate on Srimad Bhagavatam and record this great narration. Because your vision is perfect. Already you have perfect vision. So you have to go and meditate on Srimad Bhagavatam. But before Vyasa really went and meditated upon Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada told his life story. In his past life, he was the son of a maidservant. That happened because in the previous lifetime, Narada Muni was born as a Gandharva. He was a Gandharva named Upabarhana. But he had a wonderful face, he was looking externally very wonderful, and he was highly respected by the other Gandharvas. You know, Gandharvas are heavenly singers. And when he was decorated with nice flower garlands, sandalwood paste, he was very pleasing to the others, especially the ladies. And they were also singing nice songs glorifying Indra and other demigods. So, and Apsaras were invited, Upabarhana was there, and he committed 2 offenses. He was glorifying demigods and he was surrounded by the heavenly ladies. So for those mistakes, the Prajapatis, how to say, predecessors of humankind, they cursed Narada in the form of Upabarhana, the Gandharva. So Upabarhana Gandharva became son of a maidservant, Dasiputra. He became his following life. He became Dasiputra, son of a maidservant. So he was a very simple boy, and mother was also very wholeheartedly devoted to sadhus. She was very, very nice serving the sadhus. So once great sadhus came who were on the level of 4 Kumaras to spend the 4 months of Chaturmasya in the ashram. And the mother was a maidservant, and the little Narada was helping the mother. So mother was preparing the food bathing water, and Narada was also preparing, helping. Then one day they gave very special mercy to the boy. They gave them remnants Mahaprasad. Immediately after Narada took those remnants, he became filled with bhakti. Immediately, transformation happened. So he was fully immersed in devotional sentiments. But finally, the 4 months of Chaturmasya finished, and the sages had to leave, unfortunately. Narada wanted to go with them. Wholeheartedly, he wanted to join them. But mother prevented him from going. No, she wanted him to stay. He stayed, but once the powerful time in the form of a snake came and bit his mother's foot, and mother gave up her body. So Narada took it as a very special sign from the Supreme Lord. Now I'm free to go. So then finally he went, and he started meditating on the Supreme Lord in the forest. So finally, after thorough meditation, he was overwhelmed, with devotional sentiments. Finally, the Supreme Lord showed his transcendental form, and then immediately disappeared. But Narada wanted to see the transcendental form of the Lord, and despite his attempts, he could not see the Lord anymore. He was very dissatisfied and very much aggrieved. So the personality of Godhead saw the sufferings of little Narada, and he said, "Oh Narada, in this lifetime you will not be able to see me anymore, because those who are incomplete in service cannot see me constantly." So Srila Gurudev explained why did it happen. Narada was perfect, not exactly. He was on the level of Uttama Kanishta, like the beginning Mahabharata, beginning Bhagavata, beginning Uttama Vaishnava, it's the highest category. So he was not able to see the Lord constantly. Also, he had an attachment for residing in the forest, sattvic surroundings. Sattvika Vanavasa was his attachment. That's why he was on the level as technically called Murchit Kashaya. Murchit Kashaya means the first level of Uttama. Then Nirdut Kashaya, the ones who are not attached, so then they cross the level of Nirdut Kashaya. And at the end of the millennium, then all the sages, demigods, everyone entered the body of Vishnu, and Narada also entered. And then in the next millennium, he already was liberated completely, and he was on the highest level of Bhagavata Uttam, otherwise known as Bhagavat Deha Prapta, who had obtained spiritual body. So there, he was with the Supreme Lord, and thus he told the story of his life. So that was very, very exemplary for Vyasadeva. So Vyasadeva followed the instructions of his Gurudev, and he sat and he meditated on Srimad Bhagavatam and realized the supreme truth in his meditation. Apashyat Purusham Purnam. He has seen the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Maya Aparitam, Maya, who was Maya Devi, the illusory energy, was just next to him as his shadow, like this. He saw everything. But Gurudev is saying, why Purusham Purnam? Why has Narada seen, has Vyasadeva seen Purusham Purnam, the full manifestation of Purusha, Supreme Lord? Why? Obviously because Radhika was near. Apashyam Purusham Purnam. If Krishna is without Radhika, is not Purusham Purnam. He is like, Gurudev was saying, impersonal Brahma, like impersonal Brahma. That's why Purusham Purnam means Radhika was next. And Vyasadeva also saw that, and after that, he was able to write Srimad Bhagavatam. So he was in Badarikashram, but in Vrindavan, as we circumambulate Vrindavan, there's one place. When you would turn, the road is going towards Mathura, and we turn right to continue with the parikrama. So at that turning, there's a place where Vyasa was sitting and writing 10th Canto. So that very place we remember. Vyasadeva was in Vrindavan. He wrote Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto in Vrindavan. The other cantos may be in different places, but definitely 10th Canto he wrote there. So Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapurana ki jai, Sri Narada Muni Prabhu ki jai, Sri Vyasadeva ki jai, Sri Rupanuga Gaudiya Guru Varga ki jai, Paramarajatam Guru Pad Padma ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So tomorrow we'll continue hearing from Bhagavatam, those narrations we haven't heard in Trinidad, and that will be probably the story of Dhruva Maharaj, Dhruva Charitra tomorrow. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So tomorrow class will be early, 2:30, program will start at 2:30, Sunday program, right? 2:30 p.m. Everybody's cordially invited. Hari Bol. Now, please be prepared for Arati.